Hi, this is Jeff, formerly of Welt Rheaume P.A, a longtime sponsor of the Big O Show. Now that Dan retired, I opened Welt & Associates. I started this firm with a simple belief. When you hire a lawyer, you should be able to talk to your lawyer. For nearly 30 years, I have helped Floridians through serious legal problems. At my firm, you get direct access to me, clear communication, and a lawyer who knows the details of your case. I believe technology should make legal representation easier, not more impersonal. At Welt & Associates, you get direct access to me, clear answers, personal attention, and real advocacy. Look us up at weltlawfirm.com or give me a call at 954-966-4646. Consultations are always free, and let me know that you found me at the Big O Show.
There he is, lined up and ready to go in video. How you doing, baby? You doing good?
Everything's good. What's up with you, man?
Loving life. So, what's your next rock show? What do you got planned?
I just got back from seeing 2 Fish shows at Fenway, so that may be the fill for the summer. I don't know. I think we're taking a little hiatus here as the NFL season kicks on. You know.
That's ass kicking, dude. To see Fish at Fenway, wow, bro.
I grew up in Boston, so I was a Fish fan, and I've never seen a show at Fenway before, and had to make the double dip.
Oh man, that is so cool. I'm actually one of my favorite bands. Well, my favorite band is U2, and I this year next year when they announce the tour, I'm gonna go to Ireland to see them.
Oh.
Probably, I've seen them like 40 times or something, but all over the country I've seen them a whole bunch, all over the place.
Yep.
This time I'm going to Ireland for this.
Good. Make it a day. Yeah, they had a famous show years ago on St. Patrick's in Boston at the Old Garden. That was a Pixies open. That's like a legendary night that the U2 fans still talk about.
Dude, Pixies opening up. Wow, that's pretty freaking good. Yeah, man.
Not bad.
I'm going to go see Kansas and Deep Purple on Sunday.
All right. Okay. There you go. Little 70s prog rock sort of. Yep.
Yeah. So that'll be a lot of fun, man. I'm looking forward to it. All right. So first of all, let me get to a little Dolphins. Let me get your feel on what you see, because obviously, dude, we've had so many regime changes. But one of the things I always talk about, Eric, it's always human Jenga. With the Dolphins, they slide one guy out, but they put one guy in. It's only the GM. It's only the head coach. This time, they did a complete organizational enema, which is something that I've talked about for a long, long time.
Yeah.
So you tell me what you see as an outsider looking in.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could start there. Obviously, the arranged marriage kind of setup has, I would say, mixed bag success over the years. Just looking at all 32 teams, right, where you pair, the current GM with a new head coach or vice versa. And sometimes what you have are creative differences that can lead to really good things, but other times it can lead to 2 guys who don't see the same vision, or a GM that wants to do things his way and is not building a roster to help the coach, or, a coach that's not using the talent at his disposal. So the fact that that John, Eric, and Jeff are coming in as kind of a tandem. Granted, they were paired together not too long ago, but I think obviously in a short period of time in Green Bay, they were able to see sort of a common vision of what they wanted. And, obviously the offseason was interesting with Malik and a draft class that was, I think as much about collecting talent, which I applaud. I thought they did a nice job of sticking to their board and hoovering up as many new talents as possible. And I think jobs are open for them. And look, you're in a division with a team that made the Super Bowl, and a Bills team that's been in contention the last several years, and a Jets team that's desperate to win now. Obviously, Aaron Glenn, I think, is feeling some pressure. So, it's hard not to wonder what the win total will be. But they've clearly identified some pillars that they want to build around now, and in Willis and Achane, and I can't wait to see what I like the start. This is a lot like what Washington did 2 years ago when they got Jane Daniels in a big rookie class that ended up being pretty fruitful.
The only thing is, dude, he's got to prove it to me.
Oh yeah.
I'm not a Malik believer. I'm not. I just don't see the consistent accuracy there that you need at this level since you're such a passing team. You're going to have to be so dominant like the Eagles to kind of make up for it for Jalen Hurts in a
Yeah.
way. I have That's the only thing that I don't know if Malik can turn into a more accurate passer. So what do you see? Because, dude, you do plenty of NFL and draft
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah, I mean, Malik was such an interesting study coming out of Liberty in a couple years ago, and obviously there was some suspicion about him. You know, he fell to round 3. It was a weird QB year where Kenny Pickett went in the first, and then there was about a 50 pick lag between the next quarterback, and I just think it reflected the questions people had with the class in general. The Steelers were obviously pretty motivated to get a starter, a potential starter in year 1, but everybody else kind of held back. And I think what you saw early in his Tennessee career definitely reflected the accuracy issues and, you know, the touch and feel and all the little details about pass protection and knowing where the pressure's coming from, knowing who your hot is, understanding the system like a pro. You know, he was force-fed a lot, and it never really kind of sunk. But Green Bay was really smart to take him on a flyer. You know, he's a thickly built guy, clearly a talented runner with arm talent. It's not like he can't throw. It's just a matter of honing that accuracy. And so, you know, we don't have a big sample size. What is it, 6 starts in the league? That's not a whole lot to go off of. Obviously, when you're thinking draft, you want to have – boy, at least 15. I think, you know, it used to be 30 college starts was kind of the benchmark. Right now, we've kind of had to pare that down a little bit. But with Malik, if you combine his college career and what he's done as a spot starter in Green Bay, there's at least hope that he can be kind of the centerpiece of a Jalen Hurts-like system. I mean, at its best, that was a very successful thing with Kellen Moore, and they did a great job a couple years ago. Last year, you saw some of the limitations. So I don't know. I think they can build around the run game, you know, with Achane and Gordon and Wright, and that could be kind of the heartbeat of this team with Willis's legs as well. And sometimes when you're in their position, you have to kind of tack against the wind a little bit and take a different approach.
Were you a Caden Proctor guy?
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. I mean, the sheer size, I thought guard was the best spot for him. So I like that possibility of him thriving there. And, you know, as a slobber knocker, run blocker, I think he can be a star. You know, in terms of, you know, he had some issues on the edge as a pass protector, and you could see those. And that's why I think a lot of people felt like his power and his, and pretty good quickness for an inside guy, if we're projecting that, would be better suited at guard. So yeah, I thought there was a lot to like there.
I thought he was more of a natural tackle, and now you're telling me, Eric, and you do a shit ton of film watching for draft purposes. So you thought that he would be a better guard. Wow, dude, no shit.
I just thought that handling speedy edge rushers without help was going to be difficult. Now, there have been other guys who've been able to overcome that, where you saw, you know, with better technique, you know, not oversetting, not undersetting too, obviously. But, you know, finding that good balance, getting better, kind of a better base. But yeah, no, I think it helps protect him. I'm not saying he can't play tackle. You know, obviously we've seen some pretty good stuff where he was able to even get out in space and kind of lead the way a little bit, but I think his best chance for success is inside, and that's just me. I've certainly misread some of these before.
No, that's cool, but it's interesting when I look at it, dude. For them, at least to start off, because they're using 38% of their cap and a bunch of young guys. But you just talked about the run game. Well, if you start with Brewer, then you go Proctor, then you go
Patrick Paul, yep.
And I love Kaczmarek, dude. I think they got something that they haven't had in years, a true blocking tight end. If you want to add his ass there, you can run to that left side. At least it'll be something that Malik will be able to lean on, hopefully, to make his life a little easier.
Yeah, I think the dream scenario would be to see them become more of a 12 personnel team in terms of, getting multiple tight ends on the field. It's not like the receiver talent is so breathtaking at this point. There's, in my mind, no clear number one. Obviously, 2-3 rookies potentially as part of that group, depending on what Chris Bell can do this year, obviously, and it's some guys who have been number 2s, 3s, and 4s, or 3s and 4s mostly. And excited about Malik too, and I think he's a fun player, but. Really with the run game and then that multiplicity of the two tight ends. Kazmarek, as you said, great blocking tight end in college. I think that's kind of be his bread and butter. He can help you out as a, goal line receiver and short area receiver, things like that. But, if they can get that second tight end to pair with him, gives you a receiving threat. And also some run blocking, some personnel packages that are going to help the run game.
Are you as high as I am on Chris Bell? Because I think Chris Bell is going to be a freaking stud. I watched him tear University of Miami up and the DBs. And
yeah.
I watched the guy that knows how to run routes, use his body, great hands. I just think he's probably – I've been covering the Dolphins for 37 years, dude. I think he's the most complete receiver they've drafted since O.J. McDuffie.
Wow. Okay, you're going back a minute. Yeah, right. I thought he was super explosive, and to be able to move the way he does, especially after the catch at 220-something pounds, was pretty darn impressive pre-injury last year. So does he still have the explosiveness? The change of direction stuff, I think you see it a little bit more when he's got a little bit of headwind behind him. Open field stuff, you saw a little bit more wiggle. I don't think that's ever going to be, what he does best, but it's there. But yeah, in terms of the high pointing the ball, strength, explosive movement, I think he's got a lot of things. He was, I talked to some people in the league who felt like he wasn't quite at that first round level pre-injury, but he was pretty close. So I think top 40 pick prior to getting hurt. So, they dropped about a round, I would say. And we'll see. I'm very hopeful, though.
When you talk about the cutting and all that, yeah, he's not going to be a guy that's going to – but he knows how to use his body. So
good point. Yep.
He's going to know that when he makes that cut, he's going to put himself between the defender and the ball, and you're not going to get to it because he's a big dude. I see him like a slightly faster Anquan Boldin. That's the way I see him. Yeah,
I don't know if he's quite as raw, strong as Anquan is, but yes, that's the kind of, right, big-bodied receiver with a little bit of juice that can make some things happen. Absolutely. Yep.
Because Anquan required all physicality because he really wasn't going to outrun people. But this kid, every once in a while, he's going to surprise you. But that's why I think he's and he's physical, not like Anquan. But he's physical, you know what I'm saying? So it's interesting. All right, quickly, around the league, Tua left. What do you think happens in Atlanta when it's all said and done between Tua and Penix?
I think it's set up for him to win the job. It's kind of a double-edged sword for Atlanta. Obviously, on the one hand, you have a new coaching staff and really a new front office, too, that has no ties to the Michael Penix pick. And, we all saw the video when the moment that Penix was selected a couple of years ago, the confusion on Arthur Blank's face as he was asking his former GM, Terry Fontenot, to explain the pick, which usually those things are done about 48 hours in advance. Like, here's plan A, here's plan B. I don't know where the disconnect was there, but, clearly he's been kind of bored under a bad sign with the injury stuff and hasn't really had that runway. But just given where both of those guys are injury-wise, and I think there's a real opportunity for Tua to have kind of the Sam Darnold car wash season like he had up in Minnesota, where you can kind of put some past demons behind you, go out and flourish. Obviously, the playmaking ability of those offensive players with Bijan and Kyle Pitts and Drake London, you're starting in a pretty good place. Playing in a dome that he's played in before and had some decent moments in his career. But yeah, I mean, I just worry about Penix's health. He could be out for another, I mean, again, it's like full contact and everything. You wonder, are they going to keep holding him back for how long? So he's already kind of starting behind him a little bit, behind Tua, who's also missed a couple days as well. But on top of that, is he a great fit system-wise for what Kevin Stefanski does? I say no. I think Tua is the better fit in terms of a rhythm passer, pocket, short and intermediate passing, mix it up with the deep ball here and there. I think that's going to be a better fit than Penix, who's more of the vertical, the sideline thrower and things like that. So, and again, just the lack of injury clarity, I would say, would be another factor. So I think he'll do pretty well for himself. That NFC South is wide open, obviously, and he has a chance to have another good year if he can stay healthy.
Don't forget, folks, you can follow Eric on X at Eric_Edholm. And, of course, catch his work there at Yahoo. Always great insight there. Tampa. Could this be a volatile situation? Because the Vita Vea negotiations.
Yeah.
Got the whole Baker Mayfield stuff now going on. They haven't really crossed that threshold overall. They're kind of holding back a little bit from giving Baker the money. And I'm almost looking at that place like if they don't start off well and there isn't good momentum, it could get pretty ugly in Tampa this year. What do you think about that situation?
Yeah, I definitely think Todd knows that Todd Bowles is coming into a season where, he's got to win. I mean, there's such a bad taste in Bucs fans' mouths after, both they and the Panthers were coughing up the division down the stretch. Seemingly no one wanted to actually win it. Yeah, Bucs win their last game, but can't get in, and it's just sort of a microcosm of what recent times have been like, and then you spill it over and Mike Evans walks in free agency. I mean, something that, after a couple of long holdouts prior to that, it felt like, boy, wouldn't they be able to get that done? But clearly there was an issue there, and he was ready to move on. It's too bad. You'd love to see those guys spend their whole careers in one place. So, and then as you mentioned, the Baker talks have been tense. The Vita Vea talks have led to nowhere in terms of progress. And you can make a case that those are their two most valuable players. I mean, again, if you wanted to argue someone else on defense, sure, okay, fine. But
you already dispatched Mike Evans. You already sent him away. And I'm looking at all the name players, the people that brought you there, the people you already sent away Mike Evans. Now you're pissing off Vita Vea and your quarterback. I don't know what kind of a message the people above are sending down to to that locker room.
Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, if the reports are true that they offered a 2-year deal worth $50 million per year, I don't know that Baker Mayfield can be livid at the Bucs and say, "Oh, they're just cheaping out again." I understand you want a third year, you want more of this security, whatever. Fine, I get it, but this suggestion that they're lowballing him, I think is a little bit absurd if those numbers are correct. But that's Baker. I mean, I think he carries the same chip into the negotiations as he does on the field, and I love the way he plays. First half of the year last year played great. Second half, not so much. And I wonder if some of the physical toll led to that. He took some hits, and he was kind of sacrificing his body a little bit last year at times. So. There's a lot going on there all of a sudden. And as I pointed out, I just feel like with the Panthers made a little bit of a move last year. The Saints feel like a team that could outperform expectations. Atlanta's surely better than the team that was 4-9 entering December last year. I'm not saying it's a good division, but if the Bucs aren't careful, they could be a last place team. And that front seven is entirely new. And if you don't have Vea kind of tying it all together, that's a painful thing for me.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking at that and I'm going like, wow, man, that place is absolutely ugly. All right, we'll wrap it up with this. Shador or Watson? And by the way, I think it's a really sad state we're in that Cleveland has hung on to this guy and given him every break in the book when he really hasn't represented himself, the league, whatever, overall. It's kind of a weird message, to send. Even the Dolphins, Tua's not a bad dude at all in any sense, like Watson, but they gave him $100 million to just get the hell out of here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, lack of balls over there in Browns land. But what do you think happens? Because Watson looks like he lost his mojo a few years ago.
Yeah, I think if they could have let him go, they would have a long time ago. I think between the poor play, the lingering allegations from Houston, the whole massage story, the injuries, obviously some of those not his fault, but the questionable body language, some of the comments that have been made. I think most Cleveland fans are entirely sick of him. Now, I think maybe their opinion would change if he came out and played anything close to the level he was at in 2019. I'm trying to remember the years, but or whatever it was this last year in Houston there or whatever. But yeah, I mean, if they could somehow find a way to get that version of him, I think Browns fans would bite their tongue and grin through it, right? I mean, to me, I feel like you have to find out what you have in Shedeur, and if it's at all close, I would give him the job and let him run with it as long as he can go. Deshaun Watson would not be my first choice, right? I mean, the fact that he's kind of bringing up the idea of an extension in Cleveland is downright comical to guys like you and me. I don't want to ask Browns fans what their opinion of that notion is, but I would do everything in my power if it's close to give Shedeur a little bit of a path and let him work with the offense. Because, I mean, it wasn't great last year, but it wasn't bad. And he found a way to generate explosive plays. And the more you talk to coaches around the league in this generation, yeah, consistency is great. If you can, 7-yard gains every play, that would be amazing. But most teams can't do that. And I think what stings a defense more than anything is the 50-yard pass play. Really gets them on their heels, changes kind of the geometry of the game. And so you hear more and more coaches talk about the explosives. Ben Johnson in Chicago is a big proponent of that, obviously. But yeah, I would say that he gives them the best chance. And the good news is that Denzel Boston is flashing in camp. Casey Concepcion is starting to get up to speed. Spencer Fano is a player that'll be interesting to see how he handles the spotlight. Brand new offensive line. They drafted well the last 2 years, and they have some talent. Now they just got to make sure they have the quarterback to kind of bring it all together.
Dude, just since you cover the draft, what did Shedeur do in those meetings? What did he do to piss people off so badly? Because you and I know he's not a 5th rounder, bro. He should have gone earlier than that. But
yeah,
what? Because the stories really haven't come out. Like, what happened behind the scenes, dude?
Yeah, I think there were some poor interviews. I think there was also a lot of videos that leaked about Shedeur saying that he was going to the Giants and that, kind of telling people that, he felt like he had a way to kind of manipulate the process a little bit. I mean, I don't know. Again, I'm putting words in his mouth, but the sense I got was that teams didn't like that Dion tried to kind of control the where he went or where he was going to end up, and the Browns weren't necessarily a team that were on their radar. That wasn't a place that they had singled out as like, oh, we want to go to Cleveland, even though they had a job open. So, I think that was some of it. I don't have too many of the details of what went on in some of those private meetings, but there was a question about whether Shedeur was a little bit more concerned about his music or other things off the field. Again, were those founded or not? I don't know, but we're still pretty early in his evaluation. Last year was a some good, some bad. I think there was some encouraging things that you felt like maybe there's a starting quarterback in there somewhere, but it hasn't quite happened yet. I think you're right. He's not a 5th round quarterback, but I think it was clear that the NFL did not view him as a 1st rounder. Maybe somewhere split the difference in between. There were some physical limitations athletically, arm strength wise. Yes, he had some strong intangibles football wise, but I think there was also a question of, does he know how to escape pressure? Because he took so many sacks and felt like he was not operating on the same level as what pro quarterbacks are asked to do in terms of understanding the system, protection, hot reads, all that stuff.
But he could take a hit because Tua couldn't, that's for sure. Anyway,
yeah.
What do you got going on at Yahoo so folks can check you out, my brother?
Yeah, I was working on something on the rookie receivers. I mentioned Denzel Boston earlier, and there's some other non-first round rookie receivers who are starting to kind of open eyes in camp. So I'll have something out on that later today. And I'm just
any in Miami?
Not off the top of my head, although my guy, Kevin Coleman, I am a Mizzou guy. I want to see how he does. Caleb Douglas, also another interesting guy who has some translatable skills, I think, to the NFL. So we'll see. Well, this is like week 1.5 of camp. So, it's very early, and I'm sure I'll be able to do a second list at some point.
And Caleb is still dropping passes, bro. So, yeah, that's unfortunate. But anyway.
It's all right.
Yeah, well, hopefully he'll get it going. But I still have nightmares of James Pruitt and Derek Hagan as a Dolphins fan.
Derek Hagan.
Yeah.
I remember both guys.
And James Pruitt was like, a long time ago. We called. We used to call him James. You blew it, Pruitt. Is what we
that was like the Patriots kicker Scott Missin Sisson. That was the old nickname from back in the day. I love it. Yep.
Yeah. Every time I hear about a receiver that's coming in that has a history of dropsies, that's what I think of. I'm just
the heebie-jeebies. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff as always, my brother. Look forward to catching up down the line.
All right, me too, man. Take it easy.
Price, service, selection. Get all this and more at South Florida's #1 loved Subaru store. Subaru of Pembroke Pines. Save today with our 3 ways to save. 0% financing, 0 down payment, or make no payments for 90 days. From Subaru of Pembroke Pines.